Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. Of course, you can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. I want to talk about this, and I've been talking about this all day on my lives. The potential of Matt Reeves making his own The Superman movie. To a lot of people, this is not obviously going to happen. But I'm thinking about this, and ever since I saw the film, and also we heard, obviously, because you lot haven't seen the film, a lot of you haven't seen the film, but in the novelization, Let's Corp is mentioned, and so is Metropolis. Matt Reeves is literally telling us that he's very interested in making his own Superman and bringing his own Superman to Earth too. Now, he's spoken a lot when he was first in talks with Warner Brothers that he didn't want to be involved with the DCEU and have a Batman involved with the Justice League and have all these DCEU characters cameoing in the movie. And that's one thing. You know, the DCEU was a clusterfuck when Matt Reeves was doing those talks to do a Batman movie. This has been the perfect thing for him to have his own universe. Now, I've seen the film. The film is sensational. So in my imagination, he could do something very special. One of the great elements of the Batman movie, although it's very realistic and gritty in its take, it takes a lot of strokes from the comic books without actually adapting one story. So he's a very smart guy. I believe he's not just a Batman fan. I believe he's a Superman fan and a DC fan. And I think he could do something very special with Superman. Imagine a period piece with Superman. Imagine kind of doing not a total copy and pasted adaptation of Action Comics #1, but I think doing the true Superman. Because when he was first introduced, he was a social justice warrior. I'm not talking about Mark Hamill. I'm talking about someone who was beating up mine owners who was abusing his employees, or, beating up men who were abusing their women and their wives. That's what Superman was in the early days. He wasn't fighting Brainiac or anything like that. And so I think Matt Reeves could do a very faithful adaptation to Superman. He's done a very faithful adaptation to Batman, what he's always been in the comics, but at the same time doing his own story. So I am convinced that Matt Reeves is going to write and direct a Superman movie, and I believe it's his next project. Now, there's some very interesting things going on in DC live action with Superman. We've been promised a Michael B. Jordan produced Val Zod Superman project. We've heard nothing about that. We heard ages ago that Ta-Nehisi Coates was writing a J.J. Abrams produced Superman movie. We haven't heard anything about this for a very long time. Now, that doesn't mean these things are not happening, but as I say, it's interesting to me because Ta-Nehisi Coates was supposed to hand in his first draft in October. We have heard nothing ever since, and I think that's kind of odd. We're nearly in March now. We haven't heard anything. As I say, it doesn't mean these things are not happening, but it's interesting. But just because we're getting Val Zod and a Ta-Nehisi Coates written and J.J. Abrams produced Superman movie, it doesn't mean that Matt can't do his own thing. This is the beautiful thing about Matt, having this Earth 2, this brand new DC universe to forge, and the foundations for this brand new Earth 2, the Batman is the beginning of that. So I do believe he's interested in doing a Superman movie. Now, whether he's interested in setting up his own Justice League and doing other characters, I don't know. I do believe he wants to introduce other DC characters separate to Batman in his Earth 2. That is my opinion. So I do believe that a Matt Reeves written and directed Superman movie is coming. And for me, as a huge Superman stan, this is the way to go. This is a man who understands these DC characters, and he can adapt them in a very exciting way. Batman is the way he is in the Batman because that's who Batman is, the world's greatest detective in a noir detective movie. That's how Batman started off as. That's the interesting thing here. So he could go and do a Superman movie, how Superman first started off. Maybe he doesn't fly at first. Maybe he doesn't even fly in Matt Reeves' movie. Maybe he's this social justice warrior, you know, and this would be a brilliant take for me. And, you know, we are dying for that Superman movie that works for everyone. I love Superman Returns. I love Man of Steel. I love Superman and Lois. But I still don't think anyone has had a handle on the Action Comics Superman. Even Dick Donner's Superman the movie, which is a very faithful telling of Superman, you know, and I think a faithful telling of the 80s, not the 80s, the 70s comic book Superman, very pure, you know, very smiley, you know, very moral in his being. But I think the original Superman we got from Siegel and Schuster is quite different to that. As I say, this was a character who really was more interested in, you know, fighting for the underdog. And I think that would be a very interesting take for Superman in today's world, because there really isn't a character out there who fights for the underdog, you know, who's passionate for fighting for the underdog. Yes, Batman does it, but Batman hasn't got a connection to the public in his narrative, where Superman has always had a connection to the people he protects. That's one thing that Dick Donner got right. The waving, the screaming for Superman. I absolutely love that. So I do believe that Matt Reeves is developing a Superman movie. I believe this is his next project. I believe this will come before the Batman sequel. I said that on my recent live I just did just a few minutes ago. A lot of people don't agree with me, but isn't that the great thing about talking about stuff on the internet? We don't always have to agree, as long as we disagree constructively. Matt Reeves is a genius, and I think with the response from critics I've spoken to about this man and about this Batman movie, he has got Batman right, and he can get Superman right. Someone needs to get Superman right. He's the man to trust, because it's very interesting, isn't it? His Earth 2 could be the Earth going forward, especially if the multiverse strategy doesn't work. Because if the multiverse strategy doesn't work, if the Flash movie doesn't work, I don't believe that restores the Snyderverse. I believe that means that Matt Reeves gets the key to the kingdom, because people resonate with Matt Reeves and his vision. You know, critics have spoken to me very deeply about the movie that we've seen, and I think he would be absolutely perfect to do an amazing retelling of a Superman story. I think he can make Superman more popular than he's ever been. Well, he was very popular after the Dick Donner first movie. And then obviously Batman is now the #1 DC character. He may be the most popular fictional character in the world. That would be a fair assessment. But Superman is crying out for a great adaptation. And I think, I thought about this quite deeply. I think the right thing to do now is give Matt Reeves the key to the Fortress of Solitude, because I think he could do something so surreal with this character. We've seen so many different adaptations of this character. We've seen the George Reeves version, the Christopher Reeve version. We've seen the Brandon Routh version, which is the Christopher Reeve version. We've seen the Snyderverse version, played by Henry Cavill so brilliantly. We've seen Tyler Hoechlin do a great job. But when you've got a genius like Matt Reeves, if he wants to make a Superman movie, then by God, WB, let him do it. This has been Movies TV Mad. I'm Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. Like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss this perfection. And I'll see you again later on with even more Movies TV Mad. Remember to subscribe and to like and tell the world about me. Until I see you again, goodbye, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen. And I didn't switch off the video, but I will now. See you later.